Hey guys, so obviously a lot of us are locked in at the moment with coronavirus, and it makes it a little difficult to do the videos I would normally do where I'm focused on two-person application of karate. So I'm deciding to do a new series where I'm looking at some of the details on basics. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the placement of the hand in a punch. Throughout the different styles of martial arts that I've done, I've seen three main different ways to place the fist or the hand when you're doing a punch. The first is the vertical fist. On the vertical fist, it's up this way. The thumb is typically on top, pressing down to make sure that the fingers are squeezed tight. The other most common one is where the fist is turned completely horizontal this way. And in most Japanese karate systems, this is the way we see it done. So it's completely horizontal and the fist is squeezed tight with the thumb underneath. The third and final way which I've seen it done, and which is actually the way that I use, is actually to have it on a 45-degree angle with the hand tipped slightly forward this way. There are pros and cons to the different ways of doing it, and the main difference between them is the level of tension in the muscle. If we look at kime, one of the primary purposes of kime, or the contraction of muscles at the end of the motion, is to protect the joints of that limb. So for example, when I'm punching, if I'm not hitting, say, something like a makiwara, where I'm just hitting the air, then what's going to happen is I'm going to hyperextend this elbow joint. So one of the ways that we protect that is with the invention of kime, contracting the muscles so that at the end of my motion, I squeeze, I pull down, and it prevents complete extension of that joint. So one test that you can do to feel the tension here is to squeeze a tight fist and to turn your hands inwards until such time as you can feel your forearms start to really tighten up. And for me, it's just inside of that horizontal. You can also go back out the other way and squeeze them and turn. And for me, they're starting to tighten up about 45 degrees out. What this tells me is that the least amount of tension is found in your natural position, which is just inside of vertical. So the tension in your punch is defined by the angle of that fist. What I found is that the vertical punch has the least amount of resistance. Okay, so it's quite easy to keep this really relaxed when your hand is vertical, whereas the horizontal punch has the most amount of resistance, where I feel this the tightest. And there are pros and cons to both. If you're looking to protect that limb, then this is a great way to do it with this turned horizontally, so there's some nice tension in the arm. The problem with that is it does restrict your motion because the muscles are tighter. So if I want to punch where I'm actually trying to hit something and deliver force, I don't want to pull that back. All right, I'm not trying to protect the limb, I'm trying to hit something and carry through the movement. So what I've found is that I find this a little too tight for practicality. I do like to turn it just slightly this way. It loosens up the arm that little bit, but still gives me the ability to have that little bit of tension and that little bit of drive forward. So the 45 is where I do most of my middle level punches. For high level punches, particularly where I'm coming up under the jaw, I do prefer to have a vertical fist. I find that this fits better under the jawline than a horizontal does. And because the target is horizontal, it's better to have a vertical weapon so that it catches that target better. So for a lot of high level punches, particularly ones that come up under the jawline, I do prefer the vertical punches, and you do see this in some of the old form katas. Regardless of which way you're going to punch, whether it's horizontal, 45, or vertical, one of the things to bear in mind is pressure. If you want to hurt someone, what you're doing is transferring your kinetic energy into them. And there's some physics behind that tell us the best way to do it. One is understanding the formula behind force. Force is mass times acceleration. What that means is how much of my body weight can I put behind my fist. And this is where the real skill comes in. This is why your sensei asks you to do so many repetitions, okay? It's not just about throwing your arm out there, it's about how much of my body weight can I put behind that arm and how fast can I get it to accelerate. So that is force. Taking that a step further though, we also need to understand pressure. Pressure is force divided by area, okay? So force is mass times acceleration. That gets me the force. And then pressure is that force divided by the surface area. So think like a knife. The reason a knife works so well is because the surface area is so small, whereas if it was blunt, it'd be wider and wouldn't cut as much. So too for your fist. If you're hitting with the entire fist, then you're dispersing that force over a large surface area. It doesn't cause pressure, and pressure is what causes pain. So what I want to do is, regardless which style of punch I'm doing, whether it be vertical or horizontal or 45 degrees, I need to drive those knuckles forward to make sure that I'm not hitting with the whole fist flat, but rather just with the two knuckles here. So make sure that you're tipping that hand. The other thing here as well is, by doing that it is in alignment. So understand there are 3 different types: vertical, 45, and horizontal. They do have pros and cons, and I want you to experiment with each to work out what's best for you. So thank you for watching, guys. As always, I hope you got some value out of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.